Hi, this is Alex with Triple River Consulting. Today we're going to talk a little bit about a forecasting problem we ran into with a previous company. Okay, so this company I was working with had a fleet of ships, and they used a lot of diesel fuel around the world, and so they were very sensitive to those prices. The FP&A manager thought I might be interested, especially given some of my background, to have a look at one of their forecasting models. So she sent that over to me, and then I started digging into it. The FP&A manager thought I might need some explanations, but I got back to her with some questions right away. She says, "Oh, so you already know what this is?" Yeah. I think we could do some work on this to make some improvements. She said, "Oh, great." So right away, I noticed that she sent it to me. She didn't specify, but there were two models there really. Um, the first was an applied percentage change model. They were trying to forecast diesel fuels on the BIX index, the bunker index that is, using Brent prices. The second model they had was just a basic regression model that looked like it should be really good, but the output wasn't coming out correctly. So my basic task for these two models was to try to improve them, make them more useful. With the percentage change applied model, I had some suspicions that there might not be some logical flaws here. The price of Brent is heavily driven by production, whereas the price of diesel is still influenced by production. However, it's also influenced by refining, and doesn't have oil produced doesn't have to be refined into diesel necessarily. So what we did was we actually reviewed a lot of the historical data regarding percentage changes in the Brent price and how that would translate if we tried to apply that percentage change to the Brent or the BIX prices. What we found with the applied percentage change was that there was a very poor correlation between the calculated change in the BIX and the actual changes in the BIX that we were seeing from the applied Brent percentage changes. The percentage change applied model had such bad predicting ability that we basically determined this was not a useful tool and shouldn't be used to try to forecast BIX prices. The second model, of course, was a regression, and it actually looked really good upon first glance. Just looking over the statistics, you thought, well, this has a really high R-squared value, and the p-value is significant too. So let's dig into this a little further, and we think, what might be, is this really causing a problem? So the regression equation was predicting very poorly for the current prices of Brent versus BIX. The actual price of BIX was far outside the 90. I think it was outside the 95% confidence interval of what the model said the current BIX price should be given the current price of Brent. So thinking it through, I considered some of my statistics professors and what they might have said, and I started looking at the model, and I thought, no, the model looks good. It's just that the outputs are wrong, it seems. So what is the issue here? And I said, well, must be a problem with the data. So we went back and then had a look at the data. So the data for the second model turned out to be poorly chosen. They were including way too much from a time frame when in a different market than we were currently in. So a lot of the data was no longer descriptive of the current market we were in. So by fixing the data set and making a recommendation on which data they should really be using, typically something more recent related that's better describing the current market in which they're existing, we were able to massively improve the results of the model. The 95% confidence interval on the regression model was larger, but now the expected results were considerably closer to the actual price on the market. Furthermore, the R-squared value was far more realistic. If you're getting an R-squared value above 0.5 to describe things happening in the actual marketplace with traded commodities, uh, even things that are in the same industry typically aren't going to be much higher than that. And so something like 0.5, 0.54, which is what we were getting, is actually usually pretty good. Now we have a model that is generating results that are actually useful and trustworthy in what we might project for the price of diesel based on the price of oil. That's all I have for you here today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. You can find my email address on my webpage, which is linked in the channel. Feel free to subscribe. I'm happy to have the followers, and I appreciate your watching the video. Thanks very much. Take care.